So what you need to keep in mind is that when you're negotiating for a salary, usually you're negotiating for the long run, minimum 1 year. So when I'm agreeing on a salary with an employer today, we are agreeing how much they will pay me for at least the coming year. And oftentimes you may be negotiating for 2-3 year period. So if I'm negotiating my salary for 3 years, I'm basically locking down on how much I will be earning until mid 2023. And a lot can happen during this period. So I'm not solely concerned with what the salary, what the price is today. What I'm also concerned with is what the price will be. So I'm going to put an E here. And so PE basically means expected price. Okay. So this is our wage function. Wage equals to expected price times function of unemployment and all other factors. Okay. So for the rest of the chapter, we are going to assume that price is what you expect it to be. So you're just looking at the price level, because remember what I said at the very beginning is that we are going to introduce price into our model in this lecture, in this chapter, but we're not really going to let price move around. We're going to let price go up or down in the next chapter. So we're just going to assume, if this is PE, we're going to assume that what we expect the price level to be is what the price is today, which means it's basically fixed. In the next chapter, we're going to relax this assumption. Okay. So this was wage determination. Let's talk next about price determination. Okay. So we're going to develop a production function and we can develop very complicating production functions that takes into account how much labor you're hiring, how much raw material you have, and what type of technology you're using, and a lot of different things can be brought into it. But the focus of this chapter, remember, is just the labor force, the workers. We're not really interested in any other factors. So we're going to take literally the easiest production function. We're going to say that output is a function of how many people we are hiring. N is employment. Let me write this down. Is employment. So the more people we hire, more output we have, and vice versa. And we're going to simplify this even further. We're just going to say this. So basically, how much output we have is directly related to how many people we're working. The important thing here is that this means that cost of producing one more unit is the cost of hiring one more worker. And obviously you guys know that is not the case, because different workers have different levels of expertise and technical abilities. There are different ways in which workers are organized in different productions, and different technology needs different combinations of workers. So it's obviously not that straight, but we're just simplifying and we're saying that y is equal to n. So if we increase n by 1, y increases by 1. If we increase n by 7, y increases by 7. So it's just a simplification. So that raises the question, what is the cost of hiring one more worker? And we have already talked about this. Remember, this is the wage rate, which is W. We saw that here. So if you want to hire one worker, you have to pay that person W. And that is the cost of producing. So the cost of producing one unit is W. Okay. So if that is the case, what is the price level in the economy? It has to be at least W, because that is our cost of production. So if we're paying each worker 10 taka, our price has to be at least 10. If it's less than 10, we're not making a profit. We're making a loss, we'll go out of business. And if it's exactly W, we're not, I mean, why produce if you're not making a profit? There's no point in it. We want to make a profit. So what we will have is 1 plus M, where M is the markup. And I think most of you know what a markup is. So suppose we have a markup of 10%. What that means is that if we produce something for 100 taka, when we sell it, we're going to mark it up by 10%, which means we produce it for 100, we sell it for 110. If you have a markup of 20%, we sell it for 120. And so that is what this is. M tells us the level of markup, which determines the price in the economy. So we're going to stop here today. I'm going to summarize very quickly. Okay, so this is just background information. I would encourage you guys to become familiar with this diagram. Obviously, you don't have to memorize the numbers. That's not important. And it obviously varies from country to country, but the dynamics. Each arrow, there are 7 arrows here. Each arrow represents a particular type of relationship. And I would encourage all of you to try and figure out what these relationships are and how they play out. Okay. Then we came to trends in unemployment, where we talked about under what circumstances we expect unemployment to be going up and under what circumstances we expect it to be going down. From there, we came to wage determination. We talked about reservation and efficiency wage, and we introduced a function of wage. And what I said is that even though the actual function deals with expected price level, in this chapter, we're just going to assume that expected price is the price level that we have. That's just to simplify things, and we will relax this assumption in the next chapter. Then we looked at the price determination, and we took the easiest possible production function, which means basically employment and output are directly related. And we already know what the cost of production will be, which is the cost of hiring one more worker, which is W. And using that, we figured out what the price level in the economy will be. This will be the equilibrium price, which is the wage that we're paying the workers times a mark. All right, so that's the end of today's lecture. We will complete this chapter in the next lecture.